first name?
Matt.
Matt.
M-A-T-T. Matthew is my name.
Did you get that with your tie?
This one, yeah, this comes with you get this automatically. This right here, this you can see it says City of New York Parks and Recreation. So that's who I work for.
What's the
I work for this city. What's that? Oh, I will tell you. I'm going up. So this is my name. City of New York Parks and Recreation says Deputy Director. That's my title. That's my job.
What does it mean?
It means that there's a person who's in charge, who's a director, and then I'm a deputy, which means that I'm like second in command.
Do you have to like earn all those badges?
You have to earn all these badges. I'll tell you about them.
The local kids were very interested in what Matt and the other park ranger had to say. Matt's a great way with the kids. I think with the uniform and the hat, it really stood out. They sort of looked up to him. Maybe something like that we could use, but drop the hat.
When I first started, I didn't wear a white shirt. I wore a gray shirt, and my badge said New York City Urban Park Ranger, and that was what I was. I was a park ranger. Then I became a supervisor, so then I could tell people, other park rangers, what to do. It was my job to make sure they were doing the right thing and they knew what was going on and they did their jobs properly. And then I got promoted to this position, deputy director, and now I supervise a whole lot of different things all over New York City. So we have a lot of parks. We have over 1,800 different park properties, and among those 990 playgrounds. Okay, just playgrounds, not including things like, we don't have anything. This is very beautiful. We have many water bodies. This one is particularly nice, especially with the surrounding community. A lot of our bigger parks are kind of off in the middle of nowhere. Everywhere you go, each New York City agency has some form of a uniform. So we're used to it, and we feel it's very important. And I know there are definitely days when I'm like, boy, I wish I could wear a t-shirt and shorts to work. But it's very nice for a couple of reasons. One, it's very easy in the morning when you're getting dressed. You've got nothing to think about. But like when you're coming across people, there's a certain sense of professionalism, and that people are seeing something that's recognizable. They see a uniform, and in general, people tend to, whether or not they respect the uniform, they have a reaction to the uniform, and that's what we're looking for. The other thing is, for us, we see it because we want to be visible. We want to be out there. We want to be seen. A hat like this, you can't hide with this hat. So for us, we want to be visible. We want to be available to the public. It's really important, but it conveys a certain professionalism that we really want people to be aware of. So this is what I wear. I have my authority. This badge is my authority, meaning that this is what gives me my power. When I walk around the parks, I can do a number of things. I can, if people are doing the wrong thing, I can write them tickets. So a summons, it says, you did such and such a thing, and here's a fine. So you have to pay us $50, $100, sometimes it's more, depending on what the offense is, and sometimes people have to go to court. And sometimes people get arrested, and we try to avoid that. We don't like to do that, but sometimes people they don't listen to us, they're not compliant with what we've asked them to do, and sometimes people do get arrested. In the 1970s, New York City's parks were in very bad shape. They'd been vandalized and graffitied, and there was a lot of the antisocial behavior that you describe here. What we did in 1979 was created an urban park ranger program, and what that did was it sent people out in uniform to spread out around the city parks to deal with a lot of those issues, but also just to be there as park ambassadors. So when people would come to the park, there was someone there that they knew could help them if they needed first aid, if they needed a park map or information or directions. But wearing this hat is very significant because we like to stand out. When people see this hat, at least in the United States, they know there's a park ranger underneath that hat, and that's important to them, so that they feel there's a feeling of security, of knowing that there's someone there to help them. So we were, by spreading out and developing an influence within the parks, it changed people's attitudes somewhat, and being able to enforce the park rules and regulations was very important, because if you were not able to educate people to use the parks properly, you had that in your back pocket, knowing that you could take care of business and do something about it. Because not everyone wants to be educated. There are people who've been doing things the wrong way for a long time and don't want those things changed. But if they can either receive a ticket or be arrested, that's pretty serious.
In order to attract the public to the park, you have to have clean parks and you have to have safe parks. And the public has to feel safe. You can't just show them statistics. Oh, it's safe here. They have to feel safe, which means everything appears to be in good order. Someone appears to be in control. If A young kid on a motorbike can go racing through the park and endangering smaller children who are playing there, or older people who can't get out of the way quickly. That's not a safe park. It won't be perceived as a safe park, and the public will be reluctant to gather there.
One of the things, and what I see here is not nearly as difficult as we have some of ours in New York City, is that they're based on the sight lines, meaning that, like, for a place like this, if you're out on the street, you can't see what's happening in the park. Because it tends to be isolated, a little more secluded. People are able to do that in more privately, and it attracts people because there are more places to hide. It's a little darker. All of those things lead to that, but then it's a vicious cycle. You have that going on in a park. People are not going to come out to the park. Sometimes, I mean, definitely not at night, but sometimes during the day, because they fear that a certain element is present in the park, which is why it's so nice, especially here, seeing the fishermen who are present, and their presence deters people from doing the wrong thing. They're seeing people don't break laws the way they do if there's no one around when there are people present.
All the social activity that goes on, we're trying to involve the community to help combat some of these problems, along with the PSNI and other groups. I feel it's important that the community buy into the concept that the park belongs to them, and hopefully in the near future we'll have a park that everybody feels safe and welcome in. It's the everyday problem facing society is with graffiti, with people on motorbikes and quads, with drinkers in the park, and we used to have drug dealers, but we've alleviated that problem so far. But we're getting on top of it.
One of the things that the Rangers noticed yesterday was there are no public toilets anymore in any parks, and that's always a big encouragement to bring people into the parks. I know it seems like something silly, but it was something that he pointed out to us. The play facilities here need upgraded continually because they're overused, actually. As I said to you, there's another small football field up there. It's getting the place maintained, keeping the waters clean. That wouldn't be just the job of the park ranger. The park ranger's job would be different. You would have maintenance people who would be doing that. The fishing competitions up there, we could widen that out. We're having town and country events organised to get people to come in and use the park, because it's been proven to us that we have done this in the past, and it has raised the profile of the work being done by people who do it on a voluntary basis in the first instance, and it meets the needs of the local community and the wider community here.
One of the things that I've noticed in reading through some of the literature is that it's very honest. I find a lot of times we see a lot of things that's propaganda, that's saying we're great, we're wonderful, come to our parks, this is great. And instead what I've been reading is, we have problems. And it's a recognition that you have a problem that is the first step to curing that problem. So it's really nice to see that. And then by bringing us here, it shows trying to use success in other places for your own benefit. That's a great thing. Not to reinvent the wheel, but to borrow best practices from other municipalities is really smart in my opinion.
That the citizens of this city can't really use this park because of vandals. We have motorcycles, children running on motorcycles who would literally run right over you. And last night we had an attack on one of our female members who was attacked by 4 youths here just driving up at 7 o'clock at night